Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I put together a quick, or I shouldn't even say that, my son and I put together a list video for all of you that I'm going to be calling 5 Marvel Omnibuses picked out by my son. I'll be honest, basically what happened here was I was trying to bond with my eldest a little bit and I was going to film, and I thought it would be fun if he helped pick out the characters I would film. He picked out the Hulk, Venom, and Miles Morales, so the omnibuses I selected are of those characters. The only unifying thread here is that they're all Marvel characters that my son happened to pick out, but I will go ahead and talk about each of these books, and I can't wait to do that today. Before we do though, I'd like to shout out the channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link for it in this video's description, and if you see anything on the site you like, you can even use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to receive $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support the channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's get started with today's list. Okay, kicking off this list, I think I'm just going to go in the order that my son picked out the characters, and first he said Hulk, and honestly, this is my only Hulk omnibus. This is the Incredible Hulk Omnibus Volume 1 that includes his earliest adventures. So as you may or may not be able to tell, this is a Silver Age Marvel Omnibus with a lot of issues that came out throughout the 60s. This is a really fun book. I got this for a really competitive price. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if it's still in print or not. I know my edition has a slight misprint where the Hulk appears kind of orange instead of his usual green for a couple issues. This didn't personally bother me, but something to note for collectors. But yeah, this is a really fun book, and I am still making my way through it. I haven't completed this book in its entirety, but I really have enjoyed reading the issues that I've gotten to thus far. For me, the Incredible Hulk is always an interesting character. I might prefer him in an ensemble cast. I have yet to really delve deep with this character. I know one of my favorite Hulk works I've ever read was Hulk Gray by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, but admittedly, I'm not a huge Hulk fan as far as reading a lot of the material. I'd like to be though. I'd like to read more of the Hulk. I have dabbled with Immortal Hulk and just a couple things here and there, but I am definitely open to recommendations. This omnibus is really fun though. Like I said, it includes his earliest tales. Interestingly enough, when he first becomes the Hulk, he's actually gray instead of his standard green we're often used to. But don't fear, it's not before too long that he does resemble that green Hulk that everyone kind of recalls. Another interesting and kind of novel wrinkle for the original Hulk here too, when he first gets irradiated and becomes the Hulk, it's almost like he's Hulk by night, Bruce Banner during the day. Overall, it is an engrossing read. I really like the art we have throughout this collection, even how they frame the individual panels, like the perspective we get and the angles we get. They almost kind of portray him like a horror movie monster, I think, and I do think that that's a fun wrinkle as well. My impression reading this is that so much of the DNA for the Hulk character, some of his supporting cast like Thunderbolt Ross and Betty Ross and all them, you get a lot of them early on, but it does take a minute to kind of distill down what the Hulk mythos is and kind of find the voice of this character. Again, he's immediately recognizable right off the bat, but again, it takes a little bit to kind of find the groove, at least in my mind. Another inclusion in this is the character of Rick Jones, which of course goes on to be a really important character that, served as kind of a sidekick for not only the Hulk here, but characters like Captain America, and of course his relationship with Captain Marvel, or different Captain Marvels. And this is where I think he got his start, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's safe to say that this is a really important read. It's probably an essential read if you're a diehard Hulk fan, just to see where he got his beginnings, and I think for a Silver Age read, it does read a bit swifter than some older comics, so that's something to note as well. The storytelling is still quite dated, but I do think for a Silver Age title, it does keep itself pretty well paced, or at least that was my impression with what I've read thus far. And that is the Hulk Omnibus Volume 1. Okay, the next character my son mentioned was Venom, and I kind of think it might be because these omnibuses were roughly at his eye line, but this is the Venom Omnibus Volume 1, or the Venomnibus Volume 1, and this is a book that I'm also still making my way through, but I have loved what I've read so far. Essentially, these are the stories where Venom begins his solo title, so we start around that Lethal Protector era, so what it does not include is the origin of Venom or any of the early Spider-Man symbiote stuff. No, rather, this is when Venom really kind of takes his own, title, his own mantle, and basically does his own stuff. So this is where we get Venom as more of an anti-hero rather than a flat-out villain. So yeah, we don't even have some of those early Spider-Man Venom fights or anything either. This is, again, more when Venom starts to develop into his own anti-hero. So we start around Lethal Protector and then just go chronologically through a lot of the Venom appearances. But it's a really great book, and I think if you like the character of Eddie Brock or Venom or even this era of Marvel Comics, this is kind of an essential read. I know this volume in particular gets some mixed reviews, but I thought it was pretty strong from what I've read. I do find myself often enjoying it, and it's great to see just some of his early solo adventures. I even like some of the cameos or sort of crossovers we get in this. We have a couple like mini-series, which is always fun. It's cool to see Venom touch up with some of the other kind of darker themed Marvel characters. I always think that's kind of notable and interesting, and I also just like to see the evolution of Venom as a character, starting off as a Spider-Man villain and then becoming kind of an anti-hero or hero in his own right. It's just kind of a remarkable character arc, and I think it makes him a little bit more interesting than more kind of static characters that don't have a ton of growth. And again, we don't have the kind of rich and kind of layered character development we'll get in something like the Donny Cates run, but this is a really fun chapter for our favorite symbiote character here. I love the art throughout this as well. We have a lot of great 90s art, and we do have a lot of artists on this book as we jump around from different miniseries and things like that. In my mind, I think Venom is easily the best addition to the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery of villains since that early Silver Age with Stan Lee. And honestly, I grew up in the 90s, so Venom and Carnage were characters I'd see everywhere. From comic book shops to trading cards to animated series to video games to, again, just saturated everywhere. T-shirts, things like that. And when I think about classic portrayals of Venom, honestly, it's a lot of the art I see in this collection even, which is so wild to me. I think some of this and then maybe the McFarlane or some of the Larson stuff. But yeah, this is really an iconic season for Venom, and this omnibus is a blast so far. If you'd like to see a full review when I finish this book out, let me know in the comments. Make a request. I'd be happy to see what I could do. And anyway, that is Venom Omnibus or Venomnibus Volume 1 from Marvel Comics. Okay, we're going to keep this list right on going with Venom by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman Omnibus. So this is a book I really wanted last year, and I finally picked it up in December of this year, I believe. I read it earlier in the year, reviewed this title, and I just kind of fell in love with this run. This is easily one of the best books I've read this year, if not my favorite. And this is my definitive Venom run. Absolutely love this book. So I did mention it briefly in the previous entry on this video, but this is a Venom run I also just kind of in my mind see as the maturation of Eddie Brock. This is where I get to see so many more layers to his character. We get to see some depth for this character. We get to see a lot of just empathy-inducing scenes for this character, some important expansions of his mythos, not only as Eddie Brock, but as Venom and what they do with the symbiotes as well. Along this ride, for most of the run, we have the incredible artist Ryan Stegman that adds this kind of gritty and kind of animated quality to the art. It's dark and intense, but it just works brilliantly for the characters. I think the worlds these two construct are just so immersive and feel true within the Marvel Universe. I'm also just really happy to say that for a character that's often so dark and gritty, we have so much hope and beauty in this run as well. What Donny Cates is able to instill in this character and throughout this whole series is really just a masterstroke. This omnibus not only includes the entire Venom run by Donny Cates, but we also get both of the main main event series for Absolute Carnage, and The King in Black, which functions as kind of the swan song for the Donny Cates era of Venom. Everything leads to The King in Black, and I was very happy to see that included in this omnibus. Talk about a great one-and-done kind of book. This run is absolutely stellar. Like I said, this is my personal choice for definitive Venom run. I know it's gotten a lot of accolades and praise over the years, but I can definitely say I am one of those fans. I am one of the people that promote this book because I just think it's really gripping and interesting. And again, I also think for people that haven't read Venom that much, you could really jump into this as a new reader and really enjoy. I think Donny Cates does a great job of inviting in newer readership while also rewarding those that are kind of legacy Venom fans who know where he's come from, to know others that have worn the symbiote and kind of people that have played a part in building up this character over time. There's a lot of great Easter eggs and nods to previous runs and things like that, but they're not alienating in a way that just throws off new readers or prospective readers that want to just dive into this nuanced and interesting character. Definitely don't miss out on Venom by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. Now again, why my son picked this character, I have no idea beyond the fact that it was at his eyeline, and he's probably heard me just mention this character here and there. And that's about everything I'm going to say about Venom for now. And hey, if you're watching this video and you're enjoying it and you've yet to subscribe to the channel, I would just like to invite you to do so. I'm always doing comic book list videos, comic reviews, unboxings, and even a bit of live streams, shorts, things like that. Anyway, thank you for considering. Now let's keep this list video right on going. Okay, the last character my son picked out for the sake of this video and just in general was Miles Morales. That's right, this is Miles Morales Spider-Man. And to show it off, I'm first starting here with the Miles Morales Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. This collects the first several adventures for Miles over in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. This was written mostly by Brian Michael Bendis here, and it picks up right after the Death of Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus for those collecting Omnibus editions. But this is a really great read. This kicks off his adventures. So as I mentioned earlier, this is in Marvel's first Ultimate Universe, and so this is not in your mainstream 616 continuity. But it is a lot of fun. This is an omnibus that has kind of the origin story and then the early adventures for our hero. Like Peter Parker before him, Miles Morales is a young, kind of burgeoning high school student who gets bitten by this experimented on spider and develops spider-like powers. Unlike Peter Parker, in addition to all the other spider powers he gets, he also has a kind of cloaking invisibility and a kind of electrical shocking ability, which definitely leads to some really fun storytelling mechanics and just moments. Like the previous Ultimate Spider-Man series, also by Bendis, this run is totally engrossing and entertaining, at least in my mind. This book was so hard to put down. I found myself just flying through it. It's one I could easily recommend to new comic readers out there, as well as longer-term Spider-Man fans, or maybe if you've just watched kind of like Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, those animated films, and you want to get into the character of Miles Morales, there's no better place to start than this book right here. Again, we have the origin and all of his early stories, and they're so just easy and entertaining, and again, a great way to get new fans in on this character. I also just think that the art we have throughout is really gorgeous. I know Sarah Pichelli does a lot of it, and I just so very striking. I can't say how much I liked this run. I know a lot of people were trepidatious when we heard we were getting another main Spider-Man that wasn't Peter Parker, but Miles Morales handles that mantle amazingly and makes it his own, and he really stands on his own 2 feet as a character. I think over time they've given him so much agency, and I just not only like his character, but his supporting cast, like his family, his friends, his school. Like, I think that Bendis did a great job of preserving what made Spider-Man such an entertaining character. He was a flawed and just interesting kind of teenager who had his own family and life and friends and dysfunction that he had to navigate, and I think they captured a lot of that, but of course with more layers, being a more modern story, and Miles just being a totally different character with a different background. And yeah, this omnibus is great. It collects, I think, the first, 40 issues, give or take, of Miles Morales' Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. And yeah, high recommend for me. A great book. I do think I unboxed this. I'm not sure if I did a proper review for it or not. If you'd like to see that or more thoughts on it, definitely let me know. Okay, continuing on with Miles Morales Marvel-based omnibuses, I decided to pick this one over the one by Saladin Ahmed. So this one is Miles Morales Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2, also by Brian Michael Bendis. It picks up directly after the previous omnibus I just talked about, and before the omnibus written by Saladin Ahmed. What's really fun about this book, it picks up, like I said, right after the previous Bendis omnibus, but it takes place in the Marvel 616 universe. So this is in the mainstream Marvel universe. How Miles got there, I won't spoil here, but it's a really fun departure from what we had before with Miles. We have kind of a new status quo within this new universe. We have a couple shakeups for his family and just primary cast of characters, but nothing that was too alienating. I think these stories are also great. I'm not sure if this volume is quite as good as the volume 1, but honestly, the caliber and quality of it, I think, are still pretty comparable. The art throughout is rich and interesting, and I think Miles just continues to find his voice throughout this collection. I could say many of the same things I said for the volume 1 for this volume 2, but again, we just have that added wrinkle that now we're in the mainstream Marvel universe. How that impacts his character and his world, I think, is always just kind of riveting. I really like how Bendis has expanded on this character for this volume, and I think that this is his swan song for Miles Morales, as far as I know. This is Bendis' last time writing that main series, and he goes out with a bang. This is a really just fantastic book. I'm so happy that Marvel reprinted these not too long ago. I'm not sure if they're still in print, but yeah, really a great book here. This is a great character. I think Bendis does a great job too at just setting up characters. Like, I think that the characterization is so rich in this series that you just grow to love not only Miles, but like I said, like his family, like his parents, his friends at school, like Genki, and just you get really into it. And it's fun having a more youthful mainstream superhero again that's not kind of a full adult, like the kind of hijinks and stuff he gets into. There's so much that's related to his schooling and having a curfew and still being a child while also trying to be a superhero, but not being talked down to as an audience. It just really fires on all cylinders, and how Bendis is able to navigate that, I've always been impressed with. And I can think about that and say that for even his older Ultimate Spider-Man run with Peter Parker. I just think he's really nailed it. He's found a good niche here, and he just explored it even more in this volume 2, and it definitely has a high recommend from me. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up 5 Marvel omnibuses picked out by my son. This was really fun for me and my boy here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit different or off the beaten path. I totally understand if we need more of a focus for list videos like this. But again, this was a great bonding experience for me and my son, and I don't regret it for a second. I also thought it was a fun way to bring just various different pieces of my collection together that I maybe don't always talk about, or certainly don't talk about at the same time. Again, just let him pick out characters, and then I found omnibuses that mapped to the characters, and we were off to the races. At any rate, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you've read any of the collections I've showcased in this video, you'll have to let me know in the comment section. Or do you have other great Marvel read recommendations for any of these 3 characters? What are some of your favorite characters? What have been some of your favorite reads or Marvel Omnibus editions lately? Any of those questions and more, let me know your answers to them down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like, a comment, and maybe check out another video on your way out. Thanks again. Have a good one.